So now we have Rosie Shiloh and Elena Quigley. So Rosie Shiloh is an entrepreneur who has established an online network for virtual professionals, a training portal for virtual professionals as well, and who co-owns a successful web management company, Webtastic Designs. Rosie is inspired by passionate business owners who aim to develop their businesses with a sense of humour and an ambition to balance their work and personal lives in a functional and healthy way. Within her role as co-owner of Webtastic Designs, Rosie works closely with business owners to ensure that their business is represented well online, taking into account their individual objects, their needs and the interests of their audience. She offers website hosting and domain names and can also support you with social media. And Elena runs WebBabble, specialising in simple, effective, affordable websites for small businesses and community organisations. Her background is in tourism management and marketing with a strong interest in small business and technology. She has previously worked in marketing for Flag Choice Hotels and with Tourism Victoria. Along the way, she developed online skills, building a number of websites for friends, committees and other businesses. It got to a point where she decided to make it official and decided to set up WebBabble. Her core belief is that small business can have an internet presence without having to break their bank and overburden their time constraints. Now with 3 kids, and all under 8, her hubby and Dave and herself have teamed up and run WebBabble as a joint partnership. So give him a hand.
I don't work out how to do this on the laptop. I'm so not a Mac person. So
Space Bar will do it on Prezi.
sweet. Which one? Oh, that one. Okay, cool. The really big bar at the bottom there. Excellent. Thanks so much for having us today. Thanks, Natasha, for inviting us to come. It's really, really nice. We want to talk to you today. We both obviously have businesses that technically compete with each other. We both do web development, hosting, domain names. But we do a lot of projects together and support each other. We've got different skill sets that complement each other. And that's why we decided to present this today, because some of the areas are things that I do a lot of in my business and other areas Alana really specialises in, so we can be sharing what we present today. So to get a little bit of an idea of who we're talking to, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So who in here has a website? Nearly everyone? Half a website, 3, 4, 5. Who's a website junkie? Do you know what it was created on?
WordPress and Joomla.
WordPress, Joomla, WordPress. Dreamweaver, HTML site. Beautiful. Anyone else? Can you put your hand up if you've got no idea what it was built on?
What about Facebook? Does that count?
Not in this case. Not in this case. I understand if you represent your business through Facebook alone, but it's not a website. That's cool. And can you edit your website yourself?
Yep.
Hands up if you can. About half. But you don't know what platform it's on. You don't know what it was built in. How do you go into it and edit it?
Mine's through Vistaprint.
Okay, so you log into Vistaprint. So it's a Vistaprint site. How do you go in?
Ours is on BuddyPress and WordPress.
BuddyPress, WordPress?
Yeah.
Oh, you're together? Yeah, okay. And yours was WordPress.
It's based on WordPress, but I use the software called Artsteer,
Oh, yeah.
and then I'll edit it from HTML.
Oh, okay, cool. So you don't edit it from Artsteer and then export the new one out?
I start with that to give it the basis.
And then you edit it in WordPress? Okay, cool. Excellent. So there's probably about half of the people in the room here who, well, less than half who know what they're using from the hands put up, and probably about half who can edit the site themselves. And that's a really, really good start, to have some control over your website. One of the things that we love about the changes in web development recently is, I lived in Dreamweaver previously, but to get a site up and ready for a client to be able to edit themselves meant that they needed to purchase particular software to do so and invest in that and learn how to use it. And we've got it created in such a way that the template can't be affected when they're using it. Very, very complicated. But now, I love WordPress. Alana loves Joomla. Forces combined, we're covering most of them, and that means that we can go into stuff like you were using your Wix and kind of, laugh and go, "Ooh, this is too easy." It's really good. Okay? Beautiful. It didn't work.
Well, it doesn't work.
That's alright. Do you ever worry about hackers and security on your website? Hands up if you do.
I've had it hacked, but
You don't worry about it, but you've had it hacked. Who fixed it for you?
you fixed it
That's right.
That was
That's why she doesn't worry about it. Service provided. Love it. So you don't. Not many people said that they worried about it. Does anyone want to tell me why they don't worry? Do you feel like it's not going to happen to you, or do you feel that if it did happen, so what?
Ignorance is bliss.
Isn't it?
The main reason is that it's, to me, it's code that's there. It's a sacrificial lamb, really, because if it gets hacked, too bad. We just remotely shut it down and just you've got dual hosting facilities, two different, completely different locations.
Yeah.
And all the IP addresses all loaded there. You just switch one off. And
You don't worry about it because you're set.
Yeah.
You've got plans in place.
I don't worry about it because I outsourced it because I mean the whole situation.
Is that why everyone else doesn't worry about it? Are you outsourcing your web stuff?
Part of it for me is like I've been hacked and I have processes to correct it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as, it's not as big a deal. It's just a part of,
Yeah.
there's hackers and spammers and all that crap out there. You just go, okay, whatever, deal with it, next one, move on.
Yeah. Beautiful. And you've all put systems in place to be able to fix your site by either using someone who does that for you or by putting security checks in place on your site.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
No.
And changing your password regularly.
Yeah, changing the password. Okay. So does it concern you at all?
Yes.
It does. All right. I hope you win our door prize. So do I. That would be really good. Okie doke. Alana. Oh, we had so many cool graphics in this and they're not showing up. That doesn't help. Imagine, it looks amazing. There it is. It did.
So does your website do what you want it to do? A lot of people, a lot of clients that I've had, they've got a website, someone's built it for them when they've started up their business, and then they get to a point where they're like, yep, I've got a nice website, but it actually doesn't do the functions that I need it to do. So it's good to sit back, remove yourself from your business, from the in-doing sometimes, and sit back and really give your website a good analysis to make sure that it is still doing the function that is sit there to do. So do you use your website to collect names? Do you need to build your database? Is it doing it in an effective way? Is it attracting the right kind of people to leave their valuable email address? Do you offer something in return? Because people are inundated these days with sign-up forms for different websites, and people are starting to get quite picky about which websites they'll actually give their details to. So perhaps there's things you can look at is offering some kind of return for their email. So be it a PDF and audio download, something of value, you can use it to encourage people to give their names. Does it allow clients to take action? Is it just static information that tells a nice story that doesn't really encourage the people on there to take action, to call you, to email you, to buy something or whatever it is? You've got to make sure that you're using the right language and have the right tools to make it easy for people to take action. Do you sell products? And does the method that you use to sell products make it easy? Do people get lost halfway through because it's just such a cumbersome method of purchase, or is it nice and clean and easy? Sometimes if it's been in operation for a while and you haven't actually tested it and tried to purchase a product yourself, you may not realise how difficult you're making it for people to buy from you. Does it talk to your target clients? Have you just written it in a rush a while ago just to get something up there and never come back and revisited it using a professional copywriter? Just making sure that it talks to the right people in the right language that they understand. You've only got a short period of time to capture people, so it's best that you use efficient, clear language so that it sends out the right message to the people that are reading it. And does it connect to social media? It's so crucial these days, just the power of social media, be it Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever works for you, whether it's all three, but it's your website needs to connect to the social media easier and make it easy for people to find you. And so when developing a website, a lot of people sort of just skip over the details, but I mean, there's a lot of base steps that you need. Many clients of mine, some clients I've had don't even know how to turn on their computer, so the whole idea of developing a website is just this big scary thing. Registering a domain name, so many people have come to me and they're paying $60, $70, $80 a year for a domain name, and it's just too much. You don't really need to spend any more than $40 a year, and you can spend a lot less than that. But with your domain name, it's important to make sure it's registered in your name, not your web developer's name or someone else's name, because so many people can get caught out down the track. They want to sell their business or whatever. They don't actually have control of their domain name, so this valuable asset, which is their website, isn't actually theirs. The domain name isn't theirs, and if you've got lots of traffic going there, you're wasting a lot of time and energy. Making sure you've got a good hosting setup. Yep, there's lots of cheap hosts out there, but you get what you pay for. Many clients that we've both had, they've come across, they've had the $1.99 a month hosting, and I really believe in keeping things local as well. I've found so many problems with offshore hosting. Not only does it affect SEO, but just trying to get answers, trying to get things fixed if something goes wrong. It's really crucial to have it onshore and accessible. And yeah, good quality hosting can make or break a website.
Is there a speed problem as well?
There can be, yeah, there can be a lot, especially if it's a large hosting company with lots and lots on a shared server. I mean, there's even cases where one site's got hacked, and because you're on a shared server, there can be crossover effects too. But yeah, speed, SEO.
There's some businesses that actually are small, so it's good to do your homework and see whether you are sharing hosting space. If you can access your own account, your own hosting via your own FTP details. I've had a lot of clients come to me and say, I can't do anything with my website, I need you to fix it. This is who I'm hosting it with, and I contact them and they say, well, you can't log in to your FTP details because we've got multitude of sites in this one hosting account. So they have no control, no right, I can't do anything. We've got to just say, can you export the whole lot and create a new hosting account, start again. So ask, is it your own? Can you access your own FTP account, which is just called as file transfer protocol. It just means that your web designer can chuck stuff into the cloud and put it in.
And even just the method they use, I find some hosts use these convoluted control panels that I've been doing websites for years, and I had a DreamHost account. I couldn't even work out how to get through to FTP. It took me an hour just to figure it out. It was just, so yeah, cPanel hosting is just so much easier to use for everyone. And then yeah, I guess the crucial part is, how is the website set up? Is it on a broad platform like WordPress.com or Weebly or Wix, which is great for startup, but it can be limited down the track when you want to add functionality and do different things.
Do you want to explain quickly the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com?
One is hosted, so WordPress.com it's controlled by WordPress.com. It has its benefits that it's kept up to date. You don't have to update plugins and the CMS itself or anything like that. And WordPress.org is a self-hosted, so you set up your own hosting.
Full control.
Full control. You can add things into it that you want. Full control over all the themes.
That's the better one?
Yes.
Yes, in the long run.
.org, yeah, and get it loaded to your own hosting account.
I mean, WordPress.com can be great to start up, but a lot of people outgrow, and then you've got the whole, good to start up base, but as you grow, it can be a big effort to then take it out to your own self-hosted. I've worked with a few bloggers that start on WordPress.com, and it was 2 weeks' work just to create their own self-hosted. It was like starting again, because you don't want to lose it, but it can be a big drama to bring across. And then, considering security, so there's many things you can add to your site to add security. Go through some plugins
Yeah.
later on.
So did you want to quickly talk house, letterbox, padlock?
Yeah, people have got websites, so it's sort of...
You understand what a domain name is and the hosting is, the difference? No?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I sort of operate my business, everything is focused. If I can explain it to my mum, it works. And she was all going, I don't know what you do, like, what is it? Like, it's a website that I don't understand where it is or anything. So I've just got an analogy for people that don't understand. Domain name's like your street address, so 9 Erica Court. That's my street address. It points to somewhere, which is the block of land, and that's your hosting. So your block of land can be a big block, a little block, or whatever. So your domain name address is pointing to your block of land, which is your hosting, and on that you put your house, which is your website. So it can be a 3-bedroom house, a 4-bedroom house, a big mansion, a little cottage. That can be the size of your website, and then how you decorate it is like your theme and your plugins. Does it have a bathroom with a big shower head, or is it just a little shower head?
Such a good analogy.
All the different furniture and styling that you add to it is the styling that you can add to your website. So if you want a house with 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, keep it simple, that's fine.
Really
You can
stupid
have-
analogy, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a simple way.
Copyright.
Simple way to explain.
Yeah.
the whole
Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have security, whether you've got just a little padlock or you've got the full-on number pad access to your house. So.
If you now tell other people that, how cool will you sound?
Yeah.
It's like a letterbox, man.
It goes so much further
If
than
your
that.
site's
Yeah.
secure, doesn't have HTTPS on the end?
That's one element.
Yeah.
That's a security certificate. So a lot of, well, most online stores should have a security certificate, which is another level. Yeah, but there's other things, because that can be expensive.
Is that not enough though?
No, you've got to keep it up to date, keep all the plugins up to date, keep all the theme up to date. There's a site that has saved my clients' butts a number of times, security.net, they basically can monitor it 24/7. If it gets hacked, it can be back up straight away. There's lots of different things you can do for security.
That S is mainly for shopping carts, so don't worry too much about the S unless you're a big shopping cart.
That's what I have, but I have this, like, the SSL certificate.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's a security certificate. That's
Is there
definitely.
anything else you need? I thought that
It
was.
depends on your site. So if you've got a security certificate, that's great. But if your site hasn't been updated for 4 years, then it's still insecure. SUC.
.net.
I actually had a school friend that I hadn't talked to for 20 years, just not personally on Facebook. And one night, about 11 o'clock, she's like, holy crap, my site's gone down. Does anyone know anything about Joomla? And I was like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. And she'd been hacked, the site's gone, her business relies on it. Got her details, set her up on security.net. By 6 o'clock the next morning, the site's back up, clean, up to date, and ready to go again. So she had no downtime.
Once a year or?
They monitor it. It's an annual fee of about $89 a year, and it's a really good service.
But depending on what sort of site you have, you can feel free to ask us afterwards and we'll let you know what sort of stuff you need to do. So some points to consider with your website. We said before, is it connected to social media? So when we say that, there's 2 angles. When you've got your pages, you can either, as a visitor, you can click like and share that to your friends. So is that there? So sharing it to Pinterest or Facebook, LinkedIn, all these ones. Doesn't matter if you, as the website owner, have any of those accounts. This is that little one where it gives your visitors the chance to share it. But also you want to have those links to your social media pages on there, so they can keep following you and keep interacting with you. You don't want it to be, just recently had someone say in terms of marketing land, you don't want the first thing that they see though to be this huge big social media stuff, because if they're like me, they'll click on that and they'll go there and then I won't have read anything on the website. So you don't want to make it hard to find. It can still be there, but it doesn't have to be big glaring social media stuff, but it's got to be there, and it really does. If you're on Pinterest, make it easy for people to find you. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Twitter, Facebook, just have those icons there.
Another thing you have, like, I've got a client who wants to blog, but she knows she's not going to blog, but she's good on Facebook, so we put a Facebook feed into her site. So instead of her having to remember to go into the website to update it, she updates Facebook, which she loves to do, and that automatically feeds up into the website. So you can do the same with Twitter. Yeah. Which is cool.
Couple more points. So as Alan was talking about before, does it have an opt-in and a call to action? So does it clearly say to your visitors what you want them to do? Why are they there? Is there something you want them to press? Is there a form you want them to fill out? Is there a product you want them to buy? And Elena and I, when we're putting this together, we're having a bit of a chuckle because we're much like the cobbler whose children have no shoes. You know, these are the things that on our own websites we need to keep reminding ourselves to go and check because you do forget. But the good thing about having a web person, a web designer or a web manager helping you is that they will actually check that sort of stuff for you usually. They won't check it for themselves, they'll check it for you. And just say, look, you know, what do people do when they're visiting your site? What do you want them to do? You can use programs like, we have Webtastic Email Marketer, there's also other ones like MailChimp, Constant Contact, all that sort of stuff. The cheaper ones, I do like MailChimp the best in terms of interacting with your website. And you can have just those little opt-in forms there where they give you their name, email address, and they sign up and they'll get sent a PDF of a white paper or a audio, what have you. It's something that inspires them to sacrifice that email address. So if you want to be using, you've got your website there. Yes, you can have your RSS feed, which is basically going to notify people when you've updated posts and whatnot on your site. You've got your Facebook, you want to be using that to keep it in the forefront of people's minds. But have a consideration, think about whether you do want to use an e-newsletter and how you can make your e-newsletter interesting and helpful for your audience. What do they actually want? You want to be there in front of them on their computer, but what do they want to receive? And have a think about that as part of that whole website presence. That's not it, is it? There's another one. Like, you know, I always have elderly clients have double spaces in everything. That was me just then. Was there another one or did I just... Yeah. Oh, that's it. Isn't this cool? I don't know what I'm pressing. I do websites, not computers. Alright, key functions.
Yeah, so some of the key functionality, whether you're setting up a website from scratch or whether you've got one already that's been working for you. Google Analytics is one of the best free tools out there. Hopefully a lot of people know about it. Does everyone know Google Analytics? No? So yeah, it's a Google product and probably one of my favourites. You can basically have a code in your website that tracks exactly what's happening with it. So you can see where your viewers are coming from, whether they're in Australia, whether they're in Melbourne, how often they visit, whether they're a first-time visitor, whether they've been a number of times, how many, how often, what pages they're looking about, how far they're drilling down into your site. Are they just coming into the home page and then disappearing, or are they coming into another page, into the site via another page and going away, or are they coming back through? What else?
How long they spend on each page.
What browser they're on? Are they using Internet Explorer number 7? Or are they
Doesn't
using
who
Google?
they are, just
No,
telling you
it doesn't.
their
It doesn't say Rosie Shiloh.
That would be hilarious.
But you get a fairly good idea of where they're coming from, what they're doing.
You don't need to know more than that. It's very helpful just to know what your audience is doing. So if everyone's coming to your site and it tells you there's this ping and they're coming, they look at the front page and everyone's leaving, something's wrong. You can do something with that. It's great just to know. It's like
And they're quite easy, especially at WordPress.com. WordPress and Joomla are very easy to integrate into your site.
So you would just go to Google, type in Google Analytics. Obviously it's going to help you find it very, very easily. And set up an account and add a website to it. It'll give you a code. You can apply that code to your site depending on how you created your site. So yours would be different in an area. And WordPress would have a little area depending on the theme. And if you just need to create add the plugin, the Google Analytics plugin, it'll ask you for that little code. And that's it. It'll do it. And so you don't even need to be in your website. You just log into Google Analytics and it'll start telling you. I think Google Analytics on WordPress as well gives you that dashboard report as well. It's very, very cool.
Backups are essential. Both Joomla and WordPress, we especially have plugins that allow very easy backup. Pretty much 1-2 clicks, back the site up, and also not the value of your backup is as good as it works. Good having a backup, but if you never test your backups to see whether they work, they're kind of useless. And also, if they're kept on your hosting where your website's kept, they also can end up useless.
And large.
yes, and but large. So it's essential to have a copy of your backup somewhere else, whether it be Dropbox, Amazon, on your computer or on someone else's computer. It's really important in that whole backup process to make sure you have copies that work that are somewhere else. There was a few years ago, one of the big hosting companies went down. People might have had backups, but because the hosting went down, they lost their backups as well. So a lot of people ended up with no websites whatsoever.
It's good to know if your web company does backups as well. They legally don't have to. We were lucky, we were one of the companies that used the hosting company that got hacked. Everything was lost, but our client files were not. It was a pain in the butt, it was awful, but they all got back up again. We know quite a few companies that went under because they didn't have those backups. They lost everything. Backup Buddy is a great one for WordPress.
And yeah, I use Akiva for Joomla sites. That's really important too. Webmaster Tools, which is another Google job. It basically helps the robots that crawl Google track your site. You can put in keywords and do sitemaps. I'm not very good at explaining. I'll probably do that on that's another tool. It lets Google find your website really easily and to be able to.
It's a good search engine optimization tool.
Yeah, an SEO tool.
Yeah.
That's simply not explained at all.
Search engine optimization basically is anything that you can do on your site to make it so that Google thinks you're awesome. Google is all about their clients when it comes to what you see. So they're only going to show, if you do a search, they're only going to show what they think everyone wants, what they think is interesting, up to date, awesome. And so if you if you understand how Google works, you can apply that to your site, the little things that Google as a machine is looking for. And Webmaster Tools can help you analyse that and apply that to your site. It's very user friendly, and it means that even if your web designer sets it up for you, you could set it up yourself, and even if they set it up for you, you could learn it quite quickly and maintain your site and keep on top of things.
And so, yeah, there's plugins and extensions for Joomla and WordPress that help you integrate that into your site as well. Security, again, we talked about security.net, which is an external, but there's also a number of tools and plugins for Joomla and WordPress that let you enhance your security. I know from my hosting end with a number of sites, we put an extra, because WordPress and Joomla you can access via the internet with just a direct URL. So you can actually add a layer of protection to there, so not anyone can get into even your administration. They need a password to get to the administration page before they can even log in, so it gives that extra layer. But there's also other tools that help you stay on top of keeping it up to date and secure. Social media sharing capabilities and integration. Both WordPress and Joomla have some fantastic tools that allow you to integrate it in different ways and share it, get it out there to the world. No point having a website if no one knows it's there. Social media is definitely the way to get it out there. Opt-in and subscribers, so I touched on mails. I use MailChimp primarily, and yeah, there's some great plugins that allow nice and easily for people to sign up to your MailChimp form or Webtastic form or whatever straight via the website, and you can offer products, free products as part of that process. Secure contact forms, so Gravity Forms is a ripper for WordPress. There's similar but probably not as good ones for Joomla, just a bit trickier. So you can, even just on a contact form, you can do a little personalised thing of where did you come from, you can select, or what type of inquiry is, and making sure that it's not easily just picked up in cyberspace and they can go with the information taken. And again, SEO, there's some great plugins and extensions to help you improve your search engine ranking. So you can put specific content and keywords and descriptions for each page on your website to really help you get found on Google.
So there's heading towards, because SEO or search engine optimization, you probably fall asleep halfway through me saying it, is something that a lot of people just go, too hard, I don't want to know about it. The reason why you want to know about it, or you want to outsource to your VA or your web person the SEO stuff, is because they're heading towards 7 billion websites on the internet. So when you create yours, who's going to find it? You know, really, who's going to find it unless you put the hard yards in and make it found? You don't want to be going and playing Where's Wally after you've invested all this money in a website. So this is just tools and tips to make it so that when people are looking for certain things, they find you. You're just helping them find you. You're putting the balloons up on your letterbox.
Unless you're really, really niche, it's going to be hard.
That's my analogy there.
Yeah, you want to draw some pictures. You can get a fibre picture done of a house with the balloons, and you can point the domain name. We'll do that. We'll use
With
that for our
sparkles.
training.
Actually, my 8-year-old daughter's drawn me a picture that I'm going to start using as my analogy thing. She's drawn a nice little letterbox and road, and
We saw it.
we'll have to send it to you. Copyright.
Yeah.
Such a good analogy.
It helps a lot with the visuals. So if you don't put those balloons up and the signs up and all that sort of stuff, your house can look awesome, but it's not going to be found.
We use AdWords,
Mhm.
which we then got some help with because we were paying a fortune. I still think we were paying a fortune, but is there anything better? Or, like, is that the best use? 'Cause, like,
AdWords,
pay-per-click and all that got very
AdWords is a hard one because how many people in here, when you do a search on Google, ignore the first couple of results at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, and you've done AdWords.
Well, it wasn't my idea. we have an argument about AdWords.
So they've got a certain amount of the population that aren't even going to click on those. The ones that are going to click on it, you're going to have to pay for. It can work if you've got the right stuff in there and it's grabbing people. Yes, it's going to work, but it's one tool of many. It is certainly not the only one. So I think if you put more effort into your search engine optimization and your social media, I think personally that coupled with your AdWords would be fantastic. You know, you have a marketing strategy. So outsourcing again, I'm not sure, you know, you might even have a web designer who knows how to implement all that, but they're not a marketing strategist. So they would need to speak to someone who can have that plan for you in place, that how you're going to be found and all that sort of stuff.
And just on SEO, like, compared to AdWords versus good SEO, I've got a friend/client who is a business coach in Melbourne, and you think, well, how the hell are you going to be found? She's never done AdWords, but she did a really, really intensive search engine thing, and if you Google business coach Melbourne, she'll come up first,
That's
even after
amazing.
changing her domain name.
So how do you, sorry,
So
I may not
There's a lot more behind it.
be understanding, but when you say SEO, I thought AdWords was an SEO.
No, it's advertising.
So this is why I outsource.
It's a great question though. It's advertising and it's one tool that people use to be found better. And it's a search engine optimization. It's not applied to your website, but you're optimizing. I mean, I'm taking liberty a bit here, but you know, you can get away with that. Not silly.
I just want to say that a few years ago I paid someone to do some AdWords for me and it worked ridiculously well. I ended up turning it off because I had too many clients coming in. So it can really work. And I did it for my VA business. So I just had lead upon lead coming in looking for it. And I was just like, oh my God, I just had to turn it off. I had to just stop it because it was too much for me. I was a one-man band at the time. So it can work, but I did outsource it to someone who actually knows how to do it because they know the specific word how to do it. And they know that when you type in how to buy a car or buy a car buying service, your business comes up saying car buying service, but the background is actually your website. It's all the way that they've set it up, and it's a very convoluted process, but it can work.
Yeah, we got some good results from it, but also we were getting sort of the wrong people as well. So.
That was the other thing I was going to say. I guess it depends also who you're trying to target, because Facebook advertising is also pretty cool. It just depends where your customers are hanging out.
Yeah. So if you do a search engine optimization campaign, you can be spending anywhere between $300 and a couple of thousand a month for people to be sitting there ensuring that your site has everything that it needs and that they're getting out there. The stuff that they do search engine optimization is conversations on forums that have links back to you, directories that have links back to you. So it's not even just what's happening on your site. It's about how Google can look at you and go, oh my God, they're so popular because they're reading all this sort of stuff. They use software that helps them work out what people are typing in to find different stuff. And they go, okay, we'll use that. This one, you can type that in. No one's looking for that. No point doing it. So with SEO, there's a lot of homework done first before it's all applied. Anything else?
Would it be fair to say the difference between SEO and AdWords, SEO is organic, whereas the AdWords is you're paying for the interest?
Yeah, unless you pay for your links. But yes, yeah. One's an advertisement, one's a process.
Yep.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
I'm not confused because I'm kind of up to this part of my new website that I'm doing.
Yep.
So I've done the AdWords and the Facebook advertising. Is there that's like paid? So you're saying search engine optimization. Is that some other program that I don't know about?
It's a process.
It's a process.
So it's looking at your website and making sure that Google would know what to find you for because your keywords are in there, your meta tags
so
are
I've
in
done all
there.
that and I
What's
linked
a
my
meta
map
tag?
and
Oh, it's not within the text, it's just a tag that's associated with a particular page. It depends on
Web design would be a meta tag in
yeah.
my business. WordPress website is like a meta tag, just keywords that
so you can
explain
build that into
the-
your website.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've got a WordPress site, for example,
the website?
well, for example, if I'm working on a page in WordPress, I'd be typing up my page, and if I had my Webmaster Tools, it would say, you know, what do you want the main words that you're found for to be, and I can add them in there. And there's also another area where I can add meta, and that just means that Google will recognise that page as containing those words because it's in the code, but it's not part of the text.
Yeah, so you're right, you cannot see it, it's in the back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Google sees something completely
So
different
you
to
would
your
put
site.
words or would you put description because in the meta tag part of the website you put just single words.
It depends. If you're putting it in the area that Google's going to show people when they're looking for you, no, you want it to be something that's going to explain to them
That's
what
the
it
meta
is.
description.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
And meta
description.
word.
If you can get those words in there,
Yeah.
bonus. If you can get your words into the page title, bonus. If you can get your keywords into your domain name, bonus.
And also
yeah.
within your
but you
copy,
get
So
the
all
other-
of that is
there's lots of there's lots
All
of
those
other-
activities is SEO.
which is
okay.
why
It's
you
like
pay people
holding
big
your
bucks to
industry.
do SEO.
But you can do it yourself
You
get
can.
elements of
if
it.
you know what you're doing.
Well, anyone can do anything themselves if they know what they're doing. But it's
Well, I
about.
just taught myself how to do it.
I don't know what to say to that. So, one more question, then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, look, talking about SEO, Google have a guide, a basic SEO guide that I think all small businesses should read.
Yeah.
So go home and type in Google SEO guide, ensure that it's a google.com document, and then have a good read. It's aimed at small business owners, and it's got the basics of SEO, the basics of how it works, and it dispels some myths that are perpetrated sometimes by dodgy SEO companies, so well worth the read.
Excellent. Oh yes, so that didn't come up, did it?
No, it must skip.
There's a book too that you can download. You can buy it or you can download it. It's a Kindle book called Get Ranked, and it's by Charlie Leatham. Now I've worked with Charlie and I've read it, and it's really, really great. Have you seen it?
Yes, right.
You're excellent. Great.
Yeah, left-handed, so I struggle.
So do I. That's why mine's so bad. Two lefties, too creative.
It says askcharlieleatham.com.
Or you can go to Amazon. Yeah, you can go to Amazon as well and just look up Get Ranked by Charlie Leatham. Look at you. It's so wonky. It's a really, really good book because it's there's going to be some parts in it where you go, I don't know quite what that means, but most of it is in really plain English, and she gives you great links to places that you can go to get your site listed and little tools and plugins that you can apply to your site yourself. And they will help you out. It's a really great resource, one I highly recommend. Depends what angle you're on when you're a lefty as well.
Left-handed teachers do.
Which is,
Okay.
what do they do?
They don't type. And project it onto the
They wipe it off with their hand as they go, and if you're not quick enough, you won't see it. So if you have any other questions, we are more than happy to answer them after this, or grab a card off us, and you can contact us, email, or we're on everything, Facebook, social media, all that stuff, and happy to answer any questions because we know it's a pretty big kettle of fish. But thanks for listening to us.
Woo!